Caching is simple. It's storing data in a place that's faster to access than the original source. In tech terms, this largely means instead of querying your database or hitting an API for the same data over and over, you store the result in memory, like Redis or memcached, and serve it instantly. So why is caching so critical? Well, here's the deal. When your system scales, performance is everything. Users don't care how elegant your backend code is. They care about speed, and every millisecond counts. Caching can reduce latency, lower database load, handle traffic spikes, and save costs. It's one of the few optimizations that improves both user experience and infrastructure efficiency. So where do you actually cache? Now there's no one-size-fits-all solution. You basically cache strategically. There's client-side caching, which is like your browser caching images and JS files. It's the closest to the user, so there's zero network involved. Then there's CDN caching, which is static content like videos or images get cached across global servers. Cloudflare, Akamai, etc. These are some examples of CDN caching, and this reduces round-trip times. Then there's reverse proxy caching. Tools like Varnish or Nginx cache HTTP responses. Your backend never gets hit if the cache is fresh. Then there's application level caching. Here's where Redis and memcached shine. You cache DB query results, session data, or computed values. And then there's database caching. Some databases have built-in caching like PostgreSQL's shared buffers, or you use materialized views for expensive joins. Then next, there's something called cache invalidation, which is the hardest problem in caching. So caching isn't a silver bullet. It introduces complexity, and the hardest part is cache invalidation. So what happens when the underlying data changes? If your cache serves stale data, users get incorrect results. But if you're too aggressive in clearing the cache, you lose the performance benefits. This is where strategies like time to live, or write through caching, write behind caching, and cache aside pattern come into play. So let's take Twitter as an example. When you open your feed, you see tweets from people you follow. Now, are they querying the database for every user you follow? Absolutely not. They pre-compute and cache your timeline, and when you open the app, it's served instantly. That's caching at scale. And when someone tweets, they invalidate or update the relevant cached feeds. Now, there are some cache patterns you should know, and here are 3 caching patterns every engineer should know. Number 1 is cache aside, which is where the app checks the cache first. If it's not there, then you fetch from the DB, then cache the result. This is popular and simple. Then there's write through, which is where every write goes through the cache and the DB simultaneously. This is easy to keep in sync, but adds write latency. Then there's write behind, where writes go to the cache immediately and then asynchronously to the DB. This is fast, but there is risk of data loss if not handled well. So yes, caching is powerful, but it comes with some trade-offs, such as stale data if invalidation fails, then memory overhead, then there's increased complexity in logic, and then there's cache stampede if too many misses occur at once. You have to balance freshness with performance, and that's where engineering judgment comes in. You can think of caching as a superpower, where if you use it right, then your systems feel lightning fast, efficient, and scalable. And if you use it wrong, you'll be debugging ghost bugs at 3 AM because a cache didn't update when it should have. If you found this video insightful, drop a like and subscribe for more.